Hey everyone, welcome back to the Superhero Show. I'm Daniel, this is Chris, and this week we're going to talk about the contentious issue of whether trailers show too much.
Yes.
Oh, done. Right, sweet. Feedback. There's been some really big offenders recently, I think, of this particular point. The most recent X-Men Apocalypse one was pretty bad, I thought, and then famously the Batman v Superman one that had Doomsday. There was a lot of conversation about that at the time, but to start with the Apocalypse one, I think that's pretty egregious, the fact that they reveal Magneto being Quicksilver's father in the trailer. Yes, if you're watching the show, it's a pretty good chance you probably knew that. Yeah. But it seems such a weird thing to do, to squander that moment in the film in the trailer.
Yeah, I totally agree, because this is something that's been talked about and discussed for years now, whether they'd be able to use that in that universe and how they would. And so obviously they are, but I'd rather find out about it in the movie than via just a throwaway line in the trailer, which really isn't going to make any difference in terms of getting people into the cinema.
Bums on seats, no.
It's not one of those moments that's kind of a wow moment. It's just something that's really cool and interesting for people who are into the comics.
Yeah, because it's not particularly showy, and I think, the people that appeals to are the hardcore, really, and then the people that would find it satisfying, the people who don't know, and the way to show them is in the context of the film, because presumably there's going to be some setup between him and his father in the movie to make that beat more meaningful, because they have one scene obviously in Days of Future Past where he rescues him, and there's little hints that he is his father, but so they've done the groundwork and they've blown the payoff. That's annoying.
I do wonder sometimes if there is, you'd like to think there's an overarching plan for these trailers, for when they break, what they show, and it's all planned out nicely in advance, but it feels to me sometimes like it's all, release date's getting closer, there's not enough interest in this film via, our marketing and our research is showing us that, therefore we need to show more, another big trailer, another big reveal.
Well, I think there's another point in that trailer, and we'll come on to the trailers and just the thing in general, is that trailer ends with Wolverine reveal.
Yeah.
They've not confirmed that Wolverine's been in that movie in the past, and then it's almost like show him in that last trailer, go, that thing you know, the most famous thing from the X-Men universe, he's back, and it's almost like the Spidey moment at the end of the Civil War trailer.
Yeah, well, I don't think, we're led to believe that they've put Wolverine in last minute, they've done reshoots to include him, because there's this fear of doing an X-Men movie without him. But yeah, I mean, how did you feel about the Spider-Man reveal? Because again, for me, that's something I would love to, I mean, it's impossible to keep things like this a secret, but even if they couldn't keep it a secret, everyone's going to see Captain America Civil War anyway.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen him for the first time in the movie.
You know what's good about, so they did a pretty fantastic job of keeping what the character looked like until that trailer dropped. Yeah. That was the first time I'd seen that series. I'd seen some fake images of Tom Holland in a costume, but it wasn't that one. So that was the first time I saw it, and it was great marketing, because all you saw for the rest of the coming weeks was just that image multiple times in your Twitter timeline, on your Facebook. Really effective, and it's like, it is exciting, and it's a killer moment. Yes, would it have been better to see that pure in the cinema? Of course, like, it would have been incredible to see that on a huge screen for the first time. But I think they showed just the right amount. It's so small. Yeah. I don't think, you didn't see him really in action. You didn't hear any of his jokes ruined.
And I guess if you've got a weapon that powerful, you're going to want to use it, aren't you, in your marketing?
But a lot of the trailers also, I think Civil War is a good one, because I saw it again at the weekend, is if you go back and rewatch the trailers, they do show you a lot, but they don't show you, there's so much they don't show you as well. They keep a lot back for the movie. And what's interesting about watching the trailer again is they either use different takes, or the music and the way it's cut, lines have different emphasis in the trailer than they do in the movie. So the line in the trailer that's really bitter, I want to punch you in your perfect teeth, plays differently in the movie.
Yeah.
Also, the line, I'm not going to go spoilers about why it's different in the movie, but the line of, he's my friend, and he says, so was I. The emphasis, again, is different in the movie. So even though you've seen it before, it plays differently in the movie. Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think they kept a lot more back in the Civil War trailer than they did in the Batman v Superman trailer, which I feel is maybe the most egregious of these trailers.
I used the word egregious twice on one show.
Did you use it? Or did
I'm quite happy with
maybe
that.
That's why I used it, because I heard you use it.
It's a good word.
Yeah, I feel bad now though. it just felt like that final Batman Superman trailer told you it was a condensed version of the whole film. It was a full-on highlights package of the 2.5 hours. And again, did they need to show Doomsday? Was it going to make any difference in terms of getting bums on seats? I don't think so. You know, the only thing they did manage to keep back was the thing that happens right at the end of the movie that I won't say now, which was a surprise to me. So they kept one surprise, but the rest of it just... Again, it felt unnecessary by that point. When you've got Batman v Superman and you've shown them fighting each other.
Well, I think that trailer should have, if anything, should have been the weapon for that trailer was Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Like, give her a line in the trailer. I don't think in that trailer she even had a line.
Well, exactly the same as the Spider-Man reveal at the end.
You just do the shield reveal, or like where she saves Batman.
Yeah.
It's a weird one because like Doomsday is not this beloved character. It doesn't mean as like, and also by putting him in, you possibly for people in the know kind of ruin a plot point.
Yes.
It's really it was a very confusing trailer, that one.
Yep. I have some quotes. Would you like some quotes, Daniel?
I bloody love some quotes.
Our old friend Zack Snyder, when that trailer came out, it got some criticism all over the place. People saying that it showed too much.
You know what? Snyder's at his best when he's in a corner.
So this is what he told. I feel really bad now. This is what he told MTV. He said, "I have the benefit of seeing the movie." Which is good. So this is at the time the trailer came out. "It's cool that fans think it's too much, and I appreciate people not wanting to know, but there's plenty that they don't know. There's a lot of movie that's not in the trailer." Well, we've now have the benefit of hindsight. There's not a lot of the movie that isn't in the trailer.
There really is.
And then he talks about Lex Luthor as well. He says, "In the trailer, of course, he comes across in a very specific way. In the movie, he's like 1,000,000 times more sophisticated than what you get in 30 seconds. But that's also the fun of it. You go to the movie so you can see the context and understand the depth."
Yeah. Jolly Ranchers aren't in the trailer.
So yeah, I'll have to agree to disagree with Mr. Snyder, not for the first time this year.
Because to talk about scenes you'd want to save for the big screen, like it's great. The beginning of that trailer is a really good one. It got me really excited for the movie. It has almost the entire Batman fight sequence. It feels like, and it's the best Batman fight sequence I've ever seen in a film.
Yeah.
And that's another one where it's like, I thought there was going to be much more to it. I saw pretty much of it, and I watched that trailer several times. Yeah. So I was pretty familiar with that sequence by the time I saw it in the cinema. Yeah.
I mean, there's an argument to be said that that's the way all movie marketing is going, show everything. So maybe we're being, a bit too nitpicky. But at the same, I'd counter that with looking at the Force Awakens marketing campaign and how those 2 or 3 trailers really cleverly showed you stuff without showing you stuff, gave you just enough, but you went into that movie really not knowing what was going on.
No, there's a lot of mystery
about everything.
Thick mystery around that, and also because they didn't put out like 10 different trailers and 10 different TV spots, it was a real event when those trailers did drop. Yeah, and you're right. They walked that line where it was evocative and it gave you a sense of nostalgia and tone without any specifics.
And now we know it's Star Wars, so maybe you could say that they can do whatever they want because it's Star Wars. But honestly, was that more bankable a year ago than a new Avengers movie or Civil War? I don't know if it was. It was. There was a slight unknown quantity about it, but they seem to get the balance just right. That you want a trailer to intrigue, not to show everything.
It's also, trailers are really cool how they can be quite reactive to the general sense of the way a movie is being received, and you can kind of respond to particular accusations. Now, whether there have been reshoots to change tone on Suicide Squad or not, the other day I went back and watched the first trailer again. Very different tone to the later trailers. So people are saying the reshoots are happening, saying the original version of the movie was much closer in tone to Seven. And you watch that first trailer with I started a joke and set the whole world laughing, and it's really downbeat, it's somber, and it's got a tone to it, it's got a mood. And then all the later ones, very big, very bombastic with these kind of more rock pop songs. Yeah. And it's interesting whether that's maybe what the movie was always going to be, or whether that's a reaction to Batman v Superman being perceived as very dour.
Or the Deadpool factor.
Yeah. Where these later trailers, much more fun. The logo got reworked, probably was going to get reworked late anyway, but it's much more kind of razzle-dazzle, like, it's interesting how a movie evolves even during its trailers.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued to see where Doctor Strange goes as well from here, because that was, for me, I'm in. That was just enough. But are we going to be revealed more and more and more as the movie gets near to the point that maybe they show too much?
And, we said like that trailer is a bit of a condensed origin story, but that's probably a tactical decision because they know most people have no idea who this character is.
Yeah. And I've got no sense of what the second half of the movie is. You've got the final reveal of him, but that's it.
He's going to be in costume for a good probably third or half of the movie, so don't know anything from that point where he's skipping in New York. Cool.
Interesting.
Feedback time.
Yeah, let us know what you think though. superheroshowign.com.
Cool. Am I going first or you going first?
I think you should go first, Daniel.
Okay. This is Baz from Hull. Hey Baz, Marvel have dropped Inhumans from its 2019 slot and now have a gap at the end of Phase 3. Is it too much to hope for an in-house Fantastic Four movie to fill this spot? Marvel's first family coming home would give them a great way to close out Phase 3 and usher in the post-Infinity War MCU, and the characters would fit in well with a cosmic backdrop. If Spider-Man can make $1 billion next summer, it will. It gives Marvel and Fox about a year to come to an agreement and start production in order to make a late 2019 release date. Do you think this could actually happen, or am I living in an alternate reality?
Spider-Man's going to make $1 billion, is it?
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm making a big claim here. Make a big call because in a year's time, no one will remember what I said now.
I'm going to remember. You lot are going to remember.
It's going to make $1 billion.
Is that as accurate as our Deadpool predictions at the start of the year?
Let's not talk about Deadpool.
Okay. Pretend that didn't happen.
Spider-Man's had the greatest trailer of all time, Civil War.
Yeah.
Spider-Man going back from Sony to Marvel, if it's a success, I think anything could happen. I think what kind of goes... Actually, Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't even that long ago, so I don't think by the time 2019 comes around, the Fantastic Four that's just been will, be even further from memory. And the thing with that is, like, I don't know how much you can ascribe to those characters. It's just a deeply broken and bad project. So it's almost so bad you can quarantine it more easily, in my mind anyway. But I don't know what the fallout is to like wider audiences because I know the ins and outs. More people, wider audience might go, "Oh, that's crap."
Yeah. Well, if they did, maybe they'd have to. Maybe they'd want to do, if that was possible, do it in the way they've introduced Spider-Man by having them show up in another movie and get a sense of, gauge people's interest in that before giving them. Because do you want to see that origin again?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the way to do it. And the power, we have a video on site actually about the Russo brothers talking about why they think people have responded to the way they have to Spider-Man. And one of the big factors is suddenly he just exists in a world. He can have interactions with all these characters that you already are attached to. So suddenly I think you can bring in any of these other characters into the MCU and they gain from those interactions.
Yeah.
Like you found Tony Stark as a mentor for Peter Parker, and that's cool because you have history with Tony Stark, and it's interesting him being a mentor to someone else when he's been reckless in the past. So I think they could definitely find a way, and I think Fox could be open to it.
Yeah,
I think the Spider-Man thing kind of is an exciting new precedent.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting to see what's going to happen next. Calvin Dodds has written in and says, when Batman uses stealth to steal the data on the rest of the superhero, the files already contains the names, Flash, Cyborg, etc. Does this mean that in his spare time, Lex has been coming up with code names for everyone? Not only that, but he's also creating logos. We have Lex to thank for all our Justice League character names and logos.
Madness.
It's quite interesting, isn't it?
It's madness. You just sit down with someone with Photoshop or Illustrator and be like... Also, will they then use those logos?
Yeah. Supervillain did a really good logo. I'm going to use it on my costume.
It's a good logo, no matter where it came from.
That was Calvin's friend that noticed that, though, not Calvin. So
it's nice of him to give credit.
Yeah, didn't give his name, though.
Dan from Tewkesbury. I don't like pointing fingers, but I think
Dan from Tewkesbury is about to point fingers. I think
he's all fingers. But I think Zack Snyder has ruined the DC universe with Batman v Superman. Well, tell us what you really think. If you only concentrate on Batman and Superman instead of cramming 3 potential DC films in one, I think it would have been a great movie. Another big problem we have is that BVS is affecting other movies in the DC expanded universe, like Flash and possibly Aquaman, with directors dropping out. I don't see what the rush is to create this universe. Slow down, DC. So several things, I guess, to talk about here. Seth Grahame-Smith? What's he called? The Flash guy.
Graham.
He dropped out a couple of weeks ago. There were rumours that James Wan was feeling nervous about Aquaman or having some reservations, but he's tweeted a picture. He seems very much on board. He's directing Aquaman at this point in time.
Yeah.
So the problem here is that he thinks Zack Snyder has put the foundations. He's not done justice to the foundations, and it's putting off other people. I don't know. Like, there's rumours that even people within Warner Brothers don't want him to do Justice League, but that's already started shooting. And the reason they're in a rush, because this is an arms race, and Marvel are up and running, and they have all these great characters. These are wonderful characters with history and people who love them. They definitely want to get it all up running quickly, but the problem with that is storytelling. You know, Civil War really capitalizes on the fact that you spent time getting to know not even the main characters, minor characters like, well, I won't say the minor characters, but for fear of spoilers, but that's where they're paying off big time. Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
It's a worry. Cam from Austin has said, you're so bloody Marvel.
Don't.
Has said, since Warner Brothers lost the director of Flash and maybe soon Aquaman, while there's struggles and presumably mistrust between Snyder and Warner Brothers, what would you guys do if you were Warner Brothers? George Miller on Green Lantern seems like an inspired idea, but they'd have to give him complete control, which I think he'd be wary he could get at this point, seeing as they did that with Snyder and it didn't go so well. Right now, I think what they have going for them is potential for a great Suicide Squad, great director on Wonder Woman, maybe George Miller, and Batfleck making his own Batman solo film, but I don't think they can afford anything else to bomb, especially Justice League. What do you guys think they should do to turn things around? That's interesting when you look at it like that.
There's some positives though.
If Suicide Squad is great, if Wonder Woman's great, we all like the idea of Batman, Ben Affleck doing a Batman movie.
And James Wan doing Aquaman's great. I love James Wan.
George Miller maybe doing Green Lantern. I don't know. I believe that when I see it. I obviously, they had a good relationship with him on Mad Max, but that went crazy, over budget, over schedule, all that kind of thing, which you can't really afford to do on a superhero film.
Well, right now, the thing with discussing DC now that's hard for us in this show as well, we just don't have a great amount of stuff to actually based on. We've had Man of Steel, which at the time was kind of its own thing. It's now become the first film in a bigger universe. Batman v Superman is what it is. We've discussed that at length. We've got some Suicide Squad trailers. We need more of these films to come out for us to get our bearings in that universe, because so far it's just been Snyder.
Yeah.
And they've hired some really good filmmakers. David Ayer's a great filmmaker. And we just don't know enough yet about where it's going and what they're doing with other characters. But Justice League is important.
Very.
Right. This is Geordie from The Hague.
I like The Hague.
In previous shows, you've discussed that sometimes a genre sticks around so long that it starts to poke fun at itself, so it lapses into parody. I think we've seen that earlier this year with Deadpool making fun of itself, X-Men Origins, and Stewart and McAvoy in the X-Men universe. But it also happens in Civil War. And he gives some examples, but they're kind of spoilers for now, so we'll leave them off the table. Do you think we're going to see more superhero movies from now on reflecting and joking about the cliches of the genre? I got a feeling that Thor Ragnarok might also have some of these genre-reflecting jokes when Thor and Hulk are cruising on their cosmic road trip. What do you think?
Well, I think we already reached that point a few years ago. I think Kick-Ass was a really good example of a kind of gentle parody of the genre, while at the same time being a good superhero movie in its own right. Obviously, James Gunn, before he did Guardians, did that with, was it Super?
Super.
It was called. Much darker, but the same kind of thing. And I think, of course, they're going to be responding to themselves. It's becoming, how many have we got this year? 5? 6. It's going to be impossible not to, but equally I think they can't get too silly either.
Can't be too cute about it. I think there's a couple of lines that,
because otherwise it becomes smug.
There's a couple of lines in Civil War that I think pitch it just right, where you're kind of already thinking it as an audience, and then they say the line after you and you're like, that's good. But if it dominates, then I think it starts to undermine the actual story they're telling.
Quite agree. John, who doesn't supply a last name, he says he'd be interested in us talking about our favourite fight scenes from superhero movies sometime. Have we done that?
I don't think we have, but we should always remember to check what shows we've done before.
Because we never do the same show twice. Nobody noticed. So someone's going to be now going back and trying to find them. John has sent in his 10 favourites, though. Do you want me to quickly race through them?
Yes.
Number 10, Ant-Man versus Yellow Jacket. Number 9, Season 1, Episode 2 of Daredevil, Daredevil v. the Russian Thugs. Number 8, The Battle of New York. Number 7, Batman versus the Warehouse Thugs in Batman v Superman. Number 6,
Lots of thugs.
Number 6, Cap versus Bucky in Winter Soldier. Number 5, Arrow. First appearance of Arrow on this list. Season 1, Episode 21, Arrow versus Hallway Henchmen. Not
Henchmen.
thugs. Not thugs this time. Number 4, Batman v Superman from this summer. Number 3, Night Owl and Rorschach versus Ozymandias in Watchmen. Number 2, Season 2, Episode 9, The Punisher versus a lot of prison henchmen.
Prison henchmen. Prisoners.
And number 1, Arrow, again, number 1. Season 2, Episode 23, Arrow versus Deathstroke.
Yeah, so what I'm finding, like, henchmen, thugs, warehouses, corridors.
This is John's thing. John likes a henchman.
So I've got one particular in my mind. I'll save. Should I save it, or should I say one each now, just as a tease?
Just do. I won't say one because I've not thought of one. You say one now.
Captain America in that lift.
Captain America in the lift's very good.
It's very good because he doesn't want to fight them. He's like, before we get started, I don't want to get out. He doesn't want to fight.
In an enclosed space, and Daredevil in some enclosed spaces.
Small spaces, thugs. Small space in a warehouse. A corridor in a warehouse with a thug.
But yeah, to Arrow at number 1 and 5. Amazing stuff.
Someone likes Arrow.
Thanks, John. We should do that sometime, shouldn't we?
Cheers, John. Yeah, that's good. We'll do that. Final email from Rebecca.
Sorry, what's her last name?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Rebecca. Yanovskaya?
I'm sure that's correct. He didn't want to say it, and I was going to let him get away with it, and now I haven't.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So she just wants to say, don't listen to the dummies saying you're biased to Marvel. The fact is the writing on DC's side is shit. And you are rightly on the side of good writing, which equals good movies. Man of Steel and BVS being incoherent messes isn't a Marvel bias, so they shouldn't get pity passes. P.S. Ant-Man was awesome. You're very right, it was.
Ant-Man was good.
I like how you just thrown that email at the end like a just hand grenade for me to dive on.
Yeah, I didn't say it. Dan said that.
Yep.
And he butchered the name.
Great. So if you want to email us about anything, let us know, superhero@igm.com.
Yeah, next week we're going to be doing, reading all, we got a load of Captain America Civil War feedback, but because it hadn't come out in the States when we're recording this, we're going to wait till next week to do that. So everyone in America, once you've seen it, let us know what you think, give us your reviews, good or bad, and we'll read them all out next week.
Cool, and as always, thank you for watching. See you next week.